have gone higher, but when you shoot higher, you use your momentum to go up instead of forward. So yes, you're going to get more range, you're going to get more height, but you are still not getting that far.
So technically that law would have down.
Yeah, it would not have gone so far.
Yeah, it would have no way. That was something.
It's hard to say about what that would be. So I can only go with the map I have.
Plus you have the fact that there can be friction on the actual rig
Yes,
itself.
I ignored that. They greased it real good. Alright, so we're going to do some Avatar. This comes from the last episode, not particularly spoilerific, just for anyone that cares. So Aang is doing stuff because he's a waterbender too, and this is just kind of showing you, okay, all is right in the world. Because in the show, there's a big comet that gives the bad guys superpowers. Yay! Everyone's seen the show, I know. It's awesome. And then the comet goes by. Yay! That's all I wanted to show you. Alright, how many people have seen a real comet? Not a meteor, but a comet. The last big one was Hale-Bopp in the 90s. Alright, so what does a comet look like?
Big ball of ice.
Big ball of ice, well, in the sky.
Okay,
it's blue.
yeah, like a long trail.
Long trail, it's kind of fuzzy, but how does it move? It doesn't really. You can't see it moving. It is moving very, very fast, but it's also pretty darn far away. Like how planes are moving really fast, but they kind of float on the horizon. Comets are much, much further away, going much, much faster. But just looking at one, they don't seem to move. If you watch it from night to night, yes, there's small changes, but not that much. So seeing one fly across the sky must mean that this comet is really, really close. How close?
I'm going to go.
Yeah, so let's calculate just how close. So, what do you always do? Draw pictures. This is a greater picture. The sky is blue, the ground is green. This is my kind of diagram. This one didn't take so much time. Alright, so when the comet first starts, it probably is about an angle of 45 degrees, and then it probably ends up at an angle above the horizon about 15 degrees. So let's draw some lines in, because drawing lines helps. And hey, that's starting to look like triangles, so let's draw another line so it's parallel to the ground. And hey, we made a triangle, and now we can use all those triangle rules about, there's alternate interior angles, and the fact that in, flat geometry, angles have to add up to 180 degrees. Now we solved the rest of the angles. Yay! So that's a cool thing. But what I really want to know here is the height above the ground. And I might have to get the distance to the comet from the observer to get at that, so let's go ahead and name that. We also know how fast comets on average travel, and it is about 50 kilometers a second. That clip is 3 seconds long, so in that time, it would have traveled about 150 kilometers. So great. Now I got a little bit more going on here, and this is my favorite part, because I can use the law of science. I never get to use the law of science. You should all be as excited as I am. Alright, so we go ahead and use that. We can get the D, which is now 210 kilometers. And then, from that, we can use the Pythagorean theorem, figure out H, and the comet was 55 kilometers above the Earth's surface. Now let's put this in a bit of context. Here's space to Earth. If you can't see from the back down there, at the very bottom is Mount Everest. It's like this big. And then up at about 18 kilometers is where planes fly at their highest. Getting to about 35 to 50 is weather balloons. And then between 50 and 80 is where meteors are burning up in our atmosphere, by the way. And then you get to 100, that's where the aurora are interacting with the outermost atmosphere, making pretty lights if you can see them. The shuttle orbits from about 100 to 300 kilometers, and after you get past that, it's space. Well, deep space. So, where was this comet again? Oh yeah, it was down here. So it is really, really close. If you don't know what happens when stuff gets really, really close, well, here's what happened when a chunk of asteroid entered the atmosphere over Russia last year. So here's the smoke trail.
Oh, you're okay.
Yeah. I hope they're not swearing in Russian. Okay, so this one didn't actually hit the ground directly. It exploded in the atmosphere because of all the friction. And it blew out windows for hundreds of miles around, as you can see. But that was a small thing. That was about the size of a small car. A slightly larger one, about the size of a bus, entered over Siberia in the early 1900s and did this. It stripped trees and laid them flat for 100 miles in every direction. This was a small one, the size of a bus. Most meteors are the size, and asteroids and comets are the size of a city. I really don't want that entering our atmosphere, because things like this would happen, and it probably would, the dynamical friction, cause it to hit the ground, and if it didn't, it would still probably explode, and that would be bad. So, but there's one other thing that really surprises me about this, is I guess the Avatar civilization doesn't really have a good astronomy program. Because let me tell you about our current astronomy program, is how many people have heard about this asteroid, 99942 Apophis?
Was that the one they thought was going to hit?
They thought it might hit, and then they very quickly ruled it out. But it's going to pass Earth close again in 2029, and if it comes at just the right point, then it's going to come back even later and kill us. Chance of that happening is very, 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 very small now, but people are still freaking the heck out about this. And what you can see is here, that blue line. Well, let's start with the circle. That's the orbit of the moon, by the way. So this thing is coming a lot closer to us than the moon. The blue line is its probable path, most probable, and that little white line perpendicular to it is 99.99999% confidence level. So we are very sure it's going to be within that white line. But remember, this is still 40,000 kilometers from Earth to that little blue line. Move that little blue line to 55 kilometers above the Earth. I'm not worried about the Fire Nation anymore.
We'll all be the Fire Nation.
Yeah.
One day, the comet attacked. Okay.